Namaskar, good afternoon, and very warm welcome to you all on this special press briefing, which we are doing today to list out the series of activities and events which the Ministry of External Affairs is organizing as part of the celebrations of Mahatma Gandhi's 150th anniversary. Some of the activities started before 2nd of October. Some of them were launched yesterday. But to take you through the list of activities, to give you an overview of the activities which Ministry of External Affairs is going to do, I have with me Shri Gitesh Sharma, who is Additional Secretary, and he is also the Chief Coordinator to oversee the implementation of the activities which Ministry of External Affairs is supposed to do as part of Mahatma Gandhi's 150th anniversary. Sir, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, and from my side also, a very warm welcome to each one of you at today's press briefing, where we are going to take you through the activities planned by Ministry of External Affairs, which is part of our action plan for the celebrations of Gandhi at 150. So, let me start by saying that we indeed have an extensive plan of activities to be undertaken by the ministry and missions abroad, and some of our activities are also going to be possible in cooperation with other ministries and departments and other institutions in India. So, it's really is part of a plan of Government of India, where Ministry of External Affairs also has its own set of activities. Dear friends, you are aware that yesterday indeed was a special day, and we celebrated Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, and there a couple of events came out. I will leave that to our spokesman, our able spokesman, to brief you on those items which were implemented yesterday. But if I read from my action plan, then Vaishnav Janato is really at the top of the list. So, you are aware of developments of yesterday. Then the other was Gandhi stamps to be issued in all countries. There are actually two components that yesterday Honorable Prime Minister, he released stamps, and these stamps, what we had done is worked with the Department of Posts, and many of our missions, most of our missions, they work to also release them or present them in their locations. So, with that, the release in India, and on that basis presentation in by our missions abroad, it really got the kind of publicity that these stamps need. But apart from that, there is work to be done in the sense of we also have possibility of other countries issuing their own stamps to mark this very special occasion. The next item we have is production of a Gandhi anthology, and in this category we are actually looking at putting together write-ups on Gandhi and what Gandhi means to them, to these personalities in the 21st century. So, we are identifying about 150 prominent globally renowned persons, and inviting them to write about Gandhi and Gandhi's relevance to this century. So, this is work in progress, work in motion. So, we hope that that will lead to widely anticipated anthology being on our tables. The next item is commemorative Gandhi medallion or Tamrapatra, as you might say. Again, this is don't go too much by the exact name that I have given, whether medallion or Tamrapatra. We have just put this as a marker, but whether there could be some kind of acknowledgement of contribution of outstanding international personalities influenced by Gandhian ideals. So we will naturally work with other government departments and agencies, but we have we are interested in international personalities associated with Gandhian way of life or Gandhian thinking to be also honored in some way or recognized in some way. And then there is digital translation of collected works of Gandhi. This also does require some work. There is, we understand, within Government of India, there has been an effort to digitize Gandhian writings, but when we target an international audience or hope to bring it to for the benefit of an international audience, then languages come into operation. So in what languages, how it will be done, this requires some amount of work before we can actually present it as a digital translation. English we can, I believe, even now it might be available, ready to present. There is one item which is called Vegetarian Food Festival. This was again, many of our activities are when Ministry of External Affairs plans activities, we often have to take into account the international setting where these proposals are being pursued, because local conditions and local requirements, they change, and often it has to be relevant to the local conditions. So this is something which may not be necessarily on one single day, but it will definitely be possible as missions plan and individual missions, Indian missions may well appropriately present it at the right time and right setting. An online quiz also has been already initiated, and that today's younger generation is very fond of online methods. So we thought that the younger generation should be in a way encouraged to give attention to Gandhian way of life and Gandhian thinking, and if they have imbibed some of this this kind of knowledge, then they should have a chance to test it out also. So this online quiz is already available, being implemented by our by our embassies and missions. So sometimes the language also becomes a factor, so they would translate it as necessary. A global cycling event has been planned in Gandhi's memory, and World Cycling Day is on 3rd June 2019, the next World Cycling Day. So again, missions have been tasked with organizing their own plans of cycle is a common man's vehicle, so that the symbolism is quite clear there. Charkha startup competition, this is aimed to generate innovative ideas, business propositions from young people under 35 years. The idea is to address issues relating to waste management, sanitation or environment. We are working on it, because again this is kind of issue which requires many heads to sit together, and I think we will at a later stage be in a position to give more details how exactly but right now it's a proposal which sounds very relevant and interesting. Satya Varta, to identify people influenced by Gandhi, and they would speak something, say something, and in their words this would be captured and put on the internet, I think YouTube. So again, if you see this younger people, this is how they operate, this is how they express themselves. So it's while it's Gandhian, but also it's all in the modern setting in a way, and that's the best way that we could really celebrate Gandhi's life and message by involving the younger people. Planting of trees is planned on World Environment Day. That will be, I think, on 5 June 2019, and missions and posts are encouraged to plant trees on that particular day. Khadi is an integral part of the Gandhian way of life, and we are working with other ministries. You may be aware that there's a Khadi and Village Industries Commission. The Ministry of MSME is also there, which deals with these kind of subjects. But we deal with international activity. So we are all working together to package and exhibit Khadi items, and to point out the relevance of Khadi to an international audience. So that's something which we are working on. Another actually exciting proposal, which again I will ask my colleague, your spokesman, will speak to you. This is a digital projection of Gandhi photos and moving pictures on iconic buildings that again has been implemented. So that I will not elaborate on that, but Ravish will talk about that. We have an item on outreach to schools, where we'll present books, and our officials will go and talk to the schools about Gandhi and his message, his life. This will be done take into account again local conditions, local school patterns. So, but again a very important part of reaching out to the very young segment of people. I will just one other item. I will or two or more items. We have in mind to do an international conference on Gandhi, but these are early days. We are working on that. We need to develop this proposal a little more. I think the international conferences, once we have a concept which is which can be implemented, then it becomes that much more feasible. So that is a thought, that is a proposal that you may note, but I won't be in a position to say very much more. India is also for humanity, and if I were to elaborate on that, one of India's biggest contributions has been the Jaipur Foot, which has brought relief to many people who have lost limbs. So this Jaipur Foot, we are thinking of organizing over a period of 1 year camps where these Jaipur Foot would be fitted on patients who require them. So that is something again which we are working on. So we are it seems in about 12 countries that is likely to be implemented. So that is where, if I give you a snapshot of where we are. So some we have initiated activities which is already ongoing, and yesterday you found more than one activity, Vaishnav Janato, the stamps, and lighting of iconic buildings, and the other ones, some of them require very careful implementation in coordination with other ministries and departments. So that's an ongoing exercise. Some of them have very specific dates, like planting of trees or cycling, so this is and some are more ongoing. Jaipur Foot and all that is over 12 months it could well be implemented, and there some are in terms of at the moment in ministry will say they are proposals, but intense work is going on to give them shape, and we will talk to you at a later stage. So at this stage, this is what I have to say, and let me give the floor back to Ravish.
Thank you very much, sir. I think it is important to note that there are around 16 events which we are planning to do. Yesterday was the launch of the 150th anniversary of the celebrations of Mahatma Gandhi's anniversary. And the events which kicked off yesterday, throughout the year we have identified certain marker days which relate to the life of Mahatma Gandhi, and some of them we had tried to coincide with major global days, you see, I think, and if it fits in well within Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy, so we are trying to organize, coincide some of Gandhi's important dates with some of these marker days, you know, which have global relevance. Out of 16, there are at least 7 events which are directly connected to us, XP division. And I thought today I will give you a little bit of detail about what we intend to do about the rest of the events. But before I move into explanation, let me share with you that the response which we have received, I think it's an exercise where we are heavily dependent on the missions. We are drawing plans on a drawing board, but ultimate implementation agency has to be our embassies and posts abroad. And the guidance which we have received from the Prime Minister himself on many of these initiatives, and also day-to-day, almost day-to-day, follow-up by the External Affairs Minister, that has ensured that this is moving in the right direction. So I'll start with 2 events which we are doing and which kicked off yesterday. The first was the Vaishnav Janto Bhajan, and here all of you, I'm sure you must have seen the video of the bhajan. I think it has got some very positive reviews. 2 or 3 things which I would like to highlight here, something which was also mentioned by Prime Minister and by External Affairs Minister yesterday. The idea came from the Prime Minister. He wanted to create create a bhajan which has global resonance, where you can actually get in singers from all across the world to come and participate. It was executed by the External Affairs Ministry under the guidance of External Affairs Minister. And the process was that once we got the go-ahead to do this, we wrote to all the missions. We asked them to identify a local singer, native singer. We also told them to use local instruments if, to be accompanied, with the singing. We also asked them to use local backdrop, so that you get the flavor of that place when the video is being shot. And out of 130 odd missions we have, where we have an ambassador or a high commissioner, we got response from 124 missions. So we actually have 124 songs with us. The challenge was to put all these songs together into a bhajan. So because it was not possible, we thought to compress and to take the selected songs. What we did was we divided all these songs into different regions: North America, South America, Gulf, ASEAN, SAARC, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and then we picked up the best songs, best bhajans from all these regions. We also wanted to give it a regional representation, and then we selected these videos and we asked a company to put them together in a sequence. But we didn't realize that they have all been shot under different conditions, different musical instruments, different backdrop. The challenge was to synchronize all these songs and kind of have a common thread running through this video. But to our satisfaction, I think it happened. The video came out very well, and there were some very respectable names as part of the video. What you have seen is just a glimpse. We asked the mission that while they should also share this medley version of 41 countries, but each mission, all our 130 missions, we told them that you also share the video which you have made in your country. So that they have done. I mean, if you follow some of their Twitter accounts, they have all shared their own videos on Twitter and Facebook. The next step is that we have to reach the figure of 150. So now we will go into the next, we'll take the next steps to ensure that we get videos from at least 26 more countries to have this, to have a collection of 150 bhajans from across the world. And then over the next 1 year, we are working out a timetable so that every alternate day, every 3 days, every week, we'll have to see at least one video of one country is released. So depending on the number of videos and the time frame which we are looking at, we are going to release a video or at least 2 videos or 3 videos every week. So that was as far as Vaishnav Janto is concerned. You must have noted the singing. He is an accomplished singer, by the way, the president of Nauru. When he heard about this idea, he said that, I would like to contribute myself. And if you notice that it is one of the highlights of the video which we have managed to put together. The other significant aspect was also the support which we received, not only from the local community but from the government as well, although there is no direct government involvement. But in terms of putting things together, I think it was good. And when it was launched yesterday, I think at many places you had the presence of top dignitaries. In fact, for example, yesterday when this video was released, the acting Prime Minister of Nepal, he himself was present at the Sabha Grih. And it shows that the relevance and the message of Bapu, I think it is still resonates across the world. That was the idea as well, that to take his message across the world in different countries. So that was as far as Vaishnav Janto is concerned. Now moving on to the next one, which is the LED projection. Now here similarly, we thought that we should do an event which creates a buzz across the world. And we have managed to get 120 countries who did the LED projection since yesterday afternoon, I think, depending on the time zone. The interesting bit about the LED projection is that we created the content. The content was created by the ministry, and we identified through the help of the missions some iconic buildings, and those iconic buildings and the presentation was, if you can see on the screen now, at least in 15 locations the LED projection was customized based on the structure of the iconic location. But overall, I think we had around 40 to 50 iconic locations, where LED projection was done. And other missions, they had put this projection on billboards. The idea was to put this at a place where you have maximum footfall, which is a prominent tourist place, so that people can go and see. And if you look at the messaging as well, in fact, I will ask that video to be run. Yatin, if you can just run that video. So this was just to ask somebody to do a line drawing, just to make it different instead of just putting images of Mahatma Gandhi along with his quotations. Out of the 50 iconic locations, you saw some visuals about the Piccadilly Circus, Burj Khalifa in London, the Welt Museum in Vienna, Buddha Castle in Budapest, Palazzo Senatorio in Rome, Prambanan Temple in Indonesia, Museo de Arte in Peru, among several others, which we did yesterday. The storyline is very simple. We try to keep it simple in keeping with Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy, is to bring the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi's teaching in contemporary world, which we try to do through simple line drawing. Moving on to the third one, which again we executed, and that was a quiz on Mahatma Gandhi. And as I mentioned, that we started before 2nd October. We sent to all the missions question bank of 100 quiz on Mahatma Gandhi, and they were supposed to run it locally in local language to again generate interest among the local people who are there. The fourth is a Satya Varta. What we tried to do, and this idea came out from the HOM's conference which took place in June 2018, and we wanted to create something which was on the lines of TED Talks. The idea was to create a platform where people could share their experience about how Mahatma Gandhi's message changed their lives, and we actually have got some videos already. We are going to upload all these videos on YouTube. We have got few videos from Serbia, Mexico, and few other places. Gandhi Anthology was referred to by the Additional Secretary. We are collecting write-ups from 150 prominent personalities from across the world. The title is very simple: What Gandhi Means to Me. And again, once we do the compilation, it will be released sometime in the course of next year, till at least before October 2019. So these are the few things which I had to share as far as the implementation from XP and PD division was concerned. But before I conclude, maybe we can just play the video once again. Huh? Vaishnav Jan.
Yeah.
Memories.
मेरे credential ceremony में he sang that क्या हुआ तेरा वादा कौन in a different style. All this is very good. Diana में temptation could have been a diaspora, but they chose the right looks.
In fact, we told them that we don't want Indians. We were very clear from the beginning. So, if there are any questions still, then we can take them.
Sir, you share the name and the details of the artists who have worked around this scripting and the caricaturing.
You're talking about the LED projection or the other one?
About this
So you want to the name of all the artists? No, I think we can share that with you. I think that's not a problem. No, I mean I can share the names of the artists. I mean we have 124 singers who have contributed to this exercise. So we can share that names with you. That's not a problem.
And the question is,
कौन सा? We have already put it. We have shared it. We have shared the high-res video link.
there is one natural question that what you want to gain out of it by releasing all those things about Gandhi.
You see, I think that is something which, sir, आप बताना चाहेंगे? No, that is something which I shared at the beginning. You see, the idea was two or three ideas which were running through our mind. It's a momentous occasion. 150th birth anniversary of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, is a big occasion. So it has to be celebrated befitting the grandeur of the occasion. So I think there are several things which we are doing. The idea of bringing the entire world together is to also project that his message has a universal appeal. The bhajan itself, if you go through the translation, if you understand, you will figure out that the message of the bhajan has a universal appeal, along with the appeal which Mahatma Gandhi himself has, throughout the world.
Can you elaborate on this Satyavarta?
No, Satyavarta, as I mentioned, you see, we wanted to create a platform. In fact, there are several people who have been influenced by Mahatma Gandhi in their lifetime. And we wanted them to share their experience as to how Mahatma Gandhi changed their lives. So if I can put it differently, this is a video version of the anthology which we are preparing. You see, I think You come and you address a gathering and you speak for 6 to 8 minutes. We don't want it to be too long, so that the audience, they remain attracted to the video, and it will be very focused. That is what we have asked our missions to organize. And once the video is recorded and it is bit polished a bit, then we are going to upload it. It could be somebody who may not be very famous, but from a walk of life which is entirely different, maybe an artist, a politician, a singer. But in the course of his life, if the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi has influenced him, then we are encouraging those people to come on stage, share their experience with the audience, and that we are kind of capturing it and putting it on our YouTube channel, which we have created for this purpose, which we have not done earlier, I think. So this is again the same objective, trying to see if how we can universalize the appeal which Mahatma Gandhi has.
What's the time frame on the international conference on Gandhi?
I think I, at the outset itself, mentioned that it is our intention to organize an international conference, but organizing an international conference which truly is befitting of such a leader of world stature, it requires several detailed studies, in terms of time periods when people are available, at what level, what kind of people can participate. So that exercise is ongoing right now. So we don't want to fix it at this stage. It's background work is going on. Yes. Yeah, I think this year is almost. You see, I think most conferences people need a lead time. The diaries are usually full, so we have to take into account providing a reasonable lead time and a reasonable format in which they all have an opportunity. So it's ongoing work, but I think it's a very, very important part of our program. I think those countries are being worked out, and already there are certain NGOs and all also which are working on with these countries, with several countries. So the idea was that we work together with MEA providing that environment in which they can link it to Mahatma Gandhi's messaging. So I think that country lists will also come, but if I can share, South Africa might be one of them.
Normally that is, we normally bear that.
I will not give details, but I think the idea is that it is for a noble cause. So anything that goes with such a noble gesture, money is not really the central part of that. There would be, I think the whole idea is it's a charity event, it's a charity exercise, and I think it will be in accordance with that expectation. Yes.
Preparations begin for this. When we start setting out for
for the LED projection, I mean, of course, you are always racing against time. There's a lot of coordination involved, dealing with 135 missions all over the world, getting their inputs, and for them to liaise with the local authorities. You see, because for any projection which you do, you need local permission. So I think a lot of things were happening in parallel. If I can say that both LED projection and Vaishnav Janto, they were happening side by side, on two different tracks. But maybe around 3.5 to 4 months. That is when we started, this whole exercise.
15 meetings or 50 meetings?
No, the total. Let me once again clarify, because there was some confusion in today's newspaper. For the Vaishnav Janto Bhajan, we have got with us bhajans recorded from 124 countries. We are going to make it 150. So, in the course of the next couple of months, we will write to the missions and mostly concurrent accreditation, where we don't have an ambassador. That is the place from where we have not got a video. So we are going to write to our ambassadors to also get the videos from the countries where they are concurrently accredited. So 124 is the number as far as the Vaishnav Janto Bhajan is concerned. The number 40 which is floating around is a compressed version of the overall we had. You know, you also, if you decide to put all the 120 countries, then the video itself will run for at least 25 minutes. So that is not possible. We want to create a very crisp video so that the entire bhajan that is you are able to run in one go. And the LED projection, we are talking about 120 countries, 50 iconic locations plus 70 where projections have been made on digital display screens, all across the city, sometimes in malls, sometimes in other prominent buildings.
Are you projecting Gandhi as a solution to the world problems, or you are trying to get some diplomatic gain out of it? What is the real purpose of spending so much of energy and money?
No, Akhilesh, if you look at the messaging which we have tried to do,
Yes, sir. I saw.
if you,
so are we presenting Gandhi as a role model of solving?
of course he is a role model. If you see the messaging which we have tried to project through the slides and also through the bhajan, we are trying to say that what he stood for, his philosophy, remains relevant even now, even in today's world, even for the younger generation, and universal appeal. That is very critical. Otherwise we would not have gone across the world. So he has that appeal which cuts across several barriers of nationality, barriers of caste, creed, age, etc. So that is what we have tried to project through this. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining in.